Welcome to Costly Conversations. I'm very excited because we have the Malcolm X Choice with us here today. What's going on, Malcolm?
Not much, same thing as usual. Pleasure to finally get invited up. I
Absolutely, bro.
appreciate you.
Absolutely. Now, you're actually somebody who I've been looking at for a long time to hopefully have on the show because you're out of Florida. You're doing some cool stuff. You have a firearms company, as well as like an apparel brand. All the dope shirts. I've been seeing them all over the
Hmm.
web. So, if anybody wants a cool shirt with a
Yeah.
Draco on it or something similar, I'm sure you can accommodate. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's going on,
Yeah.
man? What have you been up to? What do you do? Introduce yourself to the people.
All right. So as you said, I'm the lead instructor over at Choice Family Firearms. Um, I pretty much do basic pistol and intro to pistol and concealed carry in the state of Florida mostly. Occasionally, I travel out of state to teach classes in my home state of Maryland. I just came back shortly after Thanksgiving. And also, I've been on somewhat of a tour in 2021, trying to take classes and such with other instructors, reputable instructors in the culture. So I'm just,
Yeah,
giving and taking, you know, giving as much as I can and consuming as much as I can as well to reciprocate because the community's been good to me and I
yeah.
want to give back.
So when did you actually start? Because if I'm not mistaken, you started recently in the firearms instructing game.
Um, yeah, so my 1 year anniversary for my USCCA was September of 2021. And then I did NRA literally a
Okay.
month later. So I had both of my anniversaries. I've been into firearms. Uh, I've been in it for a while, but I can only say I only count my enthusiasm from maybe 2018, where I was taking it
Yeah,
seriously at
yeah,
that
yeah.
point.
Now
You
it's
know.
funny because firearms is one of those things where you can become very proficient very quickly, as people will tell you, versus like say martial arts where
Hmm.
it takes like years and you could be 10 years in and still not be where you want to be. So I think it's awesome that somebody can kind of get into the firearms world and really absorb as much as they can to really help to give back, like you were saying, and teach classes and help people out. Of course, you have to have something to give something. So I think it's great that you're going around and making sure you're taking classes and learning from other people and staying plugged in. That's super cool to me.
Absolutely.
Who have you been in contact
Absolutely.
with?
Yeah, uh, it's a long list. Everyone that you've been prior to me, to keep it simple. Even prior to us connecting, uh, who Scout from Scout Concept. So I talked to everyone. Obsidian,
Mm.
ironically, as you know, I just won your giveaway. And then me and him had a 30-minute conversation. He was asking, giving me some tips on drawing from the holsters. We talked about it a little bit. Uh, but yeah, the if you can think of them, I've had a conversation with them in the last 72 hours.
Yeah,
Like anyone you could think of, seriously. Like it's a little, it's overwhelming at times. I'm definitely the pupil. I don't want to make it seem like I'm the person people are coming to saying, "Hey, what can I do better?" When they do that, it's usually something on more of the marketing side or the
yeah,
t-shirt branding, like you mentioned, because I think I have a
yeah.
natural knack for that. So
No,
that's
I
been
think
pretty
that's
cool.
that is cool because really, when you get into the world of business and also a trade like firearms instructing, there's multiple parts to it. It's not just, oh, can you teach somebody how to um, effectively use a weapon, which that's extremely important. If you can't do at least that much, you shouldn't be doing it, in my opinion. However, there is a little bit more to it, such as can you teach somebody how to use the firearm? Not to use the firearm, but can you tell people that you have classes? People won't show up if you're not actually marketing correctly.
Yeah,
Beyond that, can you keep your prices
that
low by having supplemental incomes, such as can you sell some T-shirts? Can you do XYZ? And can you help to expand your repertoire a little bit by learning under others?
absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. The funny thing is the t-shirts came before the instructing. I know Tig said this, but I too had a failed t-shirt company
Yeah.
prior to that. It never even took off. So no one knows about it except for like the few hundred or so people that followed it. But with Choice Family Firearms, we got derailed because I had made the decision to become an instructor at the end of 2019. The class was supposed to be in January. It got pushed back to September. And due to conversations I've had with Tig and a few others that were big USCCA instructors, that's who I wanted to go with. I didn't really want to go with the NRA because of the stigmas that, that come with that sometimes. But as I've changed my mind in reference to that for other reasons. The NRA stamp allows me indoors where the USCCA stamp can't as of yet. So that's the benefit to it. But the t-shirts, um, they held me over, and actually I was able to pay for classes to take the class because the instructor course isn't cheap because I was able to sell these shirts. But I had made the announcement I was going to become an instructor, let's say in February. Class gets pushed back. So people were excited. There were people that were excited to get their concealed carry or get their handgun qualification license out of Maryland, my hometown, once again. And because I had to wait, I'm like, all right, what do I do to keep people excited? So I came out with 2 shirts. Both of them were rifles designed with flowers in mind. And I really did some deep thinking on it. So the first one was just an AR-15 in roses. So a lot of people you may have seen that around. I did that. Yeah, that was the first one, and the whole thought process in that. And when I came up, the idea was, how can I make this not so aggressive and in your face and still have a message? So when you think of the rose, it's pretty, it has the thorns. So then if you're not careful, the thorns will prick you, so on and so forth. It sounds corny, but when you really think about it, and then you run the parallel with firearms, when you get people that are interested and they're not careful, we start to see these mistakes and mishaps. So at first glance, people they don't get that. And you have that discourse, and it's like, oh, I can get behind that. And that's how I was able to get into the door and keep excitement behind the name.
So what was that? Because I do want to talk a little bit about that, the messaging behind the t-shirts in that first design with the thorns and kind of how that relates to safety. But before we go there, what was your say the catalyst? What kind of inspired you to say, like, shoot, I think I want to take this firearm thing so seriously that I want to teach other people how to be involved?
Okay, well, I make no secret about this. I used to be the guy to go to the range, 4 or 5 guns, 1,000 rounds of ammo when ammo was $2 a box or something crazy, and my target looked like Barsuda. It was bad, right? I would post it on the gram, and where I'm from, your civilians, your taxpayers don't really have firearms unless their job requires it. So the people that were seeing that, they didn't know any better. So I was like, can you teach me how to shoot a gun? Can you teach me? Can you teach me? And as you mentioned, or as we mentioned earlier, I wanted to be able to give back. I didn't want to take people to the range and have them walk away with nothing. And then in my pursuit of knowledge, shout out to Tig. She was, this is during her rise to notoriety. She was very supportive, and she gave me some tips. Doc Holliday in South Florida as well. They were telling me what things to look out for and also giving me tips. And then during this time, this is when I'm taking it serious, where I'm trying to get my targets better. Because now I'm diving deeper into the community, because I didn't even know there were any Black firearms instructors at first. It sounds crazy, but I had no idea. I didn't know Tig was an instructor until way later. Like, I had seen her because she went viral a few times. But to answer your question, it was the people around me that wanted to learn from me. And I'm like, oh, well, I never thought about becoming a teacher. And then I had some emotional things with that, with the things going on in society. We're seeing people that look like you and me be victim of certain things, and they're not in a situation where they can protect themselves. Or I'm hearing the conversations where someone's seen me with a firearm on Instagram or what have you, and they're saying, "Oh, are you concerned with what the police may do to you, or are you worried about this?" Or some of them just thinking me owning a firearm was against
Right.
the law. So those I wanted to educate. I wanted to educate, and I wanted to also be able. The education was the chance to
Yeah.
give to my people. That's the overall thought
Yeah, I think
process in that.
that's interesting that you said that because I know Maryland and Florida have extremely different gun laws, and as you have family and friends in Maryland, watching you on social media live your life in Florida, living your best life in Florida, not your bestest life because that'd be Texas life, you know what I mean? But living a fantastic Florida life, they're probably like, oh my gosh, you have this, you have that. That's crazy. That's probably illegal. Even things that maybe they could have in Maryland if they did the right stuff, they have no idea because they have no knowledge at all. And
Absolutely.
now they're completely defenseless, or at
Uh,
least mostly.
Absolutely. And to caveat, New York is my second home. Like I know New York, I know New York a little bit better than I know some parts
Really.
of Baltimore. And New York's
Mm-hmm.
gun laws are even worse. So add that. I went to New York right before COVID hit, and my grandfather, the first thing he says to me is, "You weren't bringing in those guns up, did you?"
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. Yeah,
No, it's you know
yeah.
me, brother. It's all good. It's supposed to. It's funny. It's funny, and it's just like, but the thought process in that, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So in the year going on two, I've been able to change mindsets. I'm seeing people close to me change, and also the people that don't know me when they come to this class. Their initial thoughts of, okay, I have this firearm, I have this license to carry a firearm in public. Any confrontation I have, I can settle it with this. It's becoming, oh, I have more
Yeah,
responsibility. I have to think about all the repercussions and consequences from my potential actions. And I
yeah,
like seeing that. I could care less about the notoriety on social media and so on and so forth. I'm grateful for the great people I've met, but the when I'm seeing the results of the work I'm actually putting in, getting the messages from people reaching out to me saying, I want to become an instructor. I want to do what you
mm,
do. And their thought process is similar. Hey, I
yeah.
want to help people because this, I think the people in my city could use this. We don't have any representation that looks like you doing what we do, or we just aren't privy to it. We don't have access to it for whatever the reasons may
So
be.
I just had a conversation with a cat named John Keys from Guns Out TV. You may be familiar, and he,
Okay.
I asked him like, hey, like he said when I was looking stuff up on YouTube, looking for information on guns, like how tos and what's a good gun and things like that, he really didn't see representation from the black community necessarily in those spaces in in the popular because they do exist, but most of the time you're just not going to see them because they're
But
not popular. That said, I asked him, I was like, why is that important though at the end of the day? Because most people will tell you, especially, just gonna say it, my white shooters, people in the 2A community who aren't black, they're gonna say like, hey, why is that important? Like, shouldn't the only thing that's important be that they know how to shoot or they are telling you positive information? And logically, that is the truth. Why does it actually matter? Can you answer that? And I'm not here to judge your answer, but I do want to hear what you have to say.
you know me, brother. I'm gonna end up saying that a lot. But the idea is just representation and understanding. So when I took my concealed carry class,
Mm-hmm.
the instructor was white, and he did a fantastic job. His class was actually the whole
Really?
class was black, right? So he couldn't, which is different from when I'm usually there's a firearms class when it's like that. Um, at least in my experiences. So what you see is the examples they
Mm-hmm.
give aren't necessarily realistic and don't relate to us. It's not a good representation. Whereas, you know, we talk about the situations where you get stopped by a police officer and you have a firearm in
Mm-hmm.
your possession, right? What how you and I may interact with that officer and how our white counterpart may interact with that, it's going to be two
Yeah,
could be two
likely.
different things. Um, and that's just what it is. So also just having someone that can relate to you,
Mm-hmm.
teach you. I can run a parallel. Like I switched schools a lot growing up. I went to a school where I didn't have interactions with white students, or my teachers weren't white. My principal was black, right? I switched schools in 2001, and it's a complete cultural shock. I can't relate to certain things, and I'm adapting to it. So the things we were learning were different. The way that we were learning were different. The way we were being spoke to is different. Not that I was treated unfairly or anything like that, but the way that the teachers spoke to us was
Yeah.
just different. I couldn't relate to some of the things they were saying to the
Mm-hmm.
general class, opposed to where I was over
It's
there.
just
I'm like, I can relate to this because this person is saying something that
right.
is exactly what I would go through when I go
Yeah, it's
outside.
like body language and culture. It just there's something to it, and obviously there
Hmm.
are multiple, forms of black culture. Like it's not just hip hop or anything like that, but there are some things that are fairly consistent as you move through the states. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, learning, I think, and this is what I've been told by my students, it makes them comfortable to be with a black instructor. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I felt. When I took my instructor's course, I told you in our conversation over the phone, I said, I hesitated going in at first. I was on time, and I was like, I'm in the middle of what looks like Hickville, if you will. It was a rural area, never been there. I hesitated, I go in. I'm the only black
Mm-hmm.
person. 5 minutes go by. My brother Josh Douglas walks in. He looks at me. I look at him. We give each other the nod. We don't say anything else to each other. This is an 8-hour class. We don't say anything else to each other. We just looked at each other, made eye contact. We nod. He nods back. I think there was a reference to a podcast. We gave each other a look again, and we was like. And then the next day, we really talked, and we talk all the time. Like we've been inseparable, and that's
Yeah.
September of 2020. But again, just being able to relate. We weren't in hostile territory, but it just is. It's the
Mm-hmm.
psychology behind it. You go anywhere in public right now where you have to commingle with people, and it's a mix of people. You don't have to have any biases or prejudice toward the other people there. You're going to gravitate to the people that look
Yeah.
like you until there's a reason not to.
It's interesting. I almost feel
And
like
that's
your brain automatically, without thinking, very subconsciously, just starts to work a little bit harder to try to make sure you're doing what you have to do to kind of not rub anybody the wrong way or XYZ. You don't want to be perceived as too aggressive or too this or too that, or and maybe you're telling yourself don't care about that kind of stuff. Whatever your personality type is, um, and I think that's it's not. I don't think that's just a white and a black thing for say for anybody who cares. I think that could happen with anything.
well noticing. That's well, if you notice my example, I never said anything about races. I just said,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
made the
just for
general
anybody
statement because
who might
that's
hear it and be like, "What? No, no." Like, imagine going to China, or let's say you go to freaking
mhm,
Germany. Yeah, you're gonna be like kind of fish out
mhm,
of water. So, yeah, it's one of those things.
absolutely. But the moment that there's a group of people like yourself, you're going to
Yeah,
gravitate to that group. So if you're yellow and we dump you in a box of brown crayons and you see a yellow crayon, you're going to roll next to him. That's just what it is. That's crazy to say, but if you think about all the situations you've been in
yeah.
society in public settings where you only had that friend for the duration of whatever the event was, it was that. You don't have to have any disdain in your heart for any other race, gender, or whatever. But if it's familiar, it's just a familiarity.
I almost
Familiarity.
feel like the same thing
Jeez,
could happen.
I've been in Florida too long.
I feel like that same thing can happen. Or two people say you went to Wisconsin, you found two people that were
Hmm.
from Florida. Let's just say you and some other guy. He's like, "Oh, where you guys from? Oh, I'm from
Absolutely.
Florida. Oh, you're from Florida too. Well, let me sit next to you. We can have some shared experience."
Hey, you guys stop telling people that. I'm from Baltimore,
He's
man. I'm from
I just
Baltimore. I just
live in
live in
Florida.
Florida.
Uh,
I just live
no,
here.
they be
Man,
trying to claim you in.
they be trying to get
Oh
rid of me
yeah.
for a while anyway. Nah, Baltimore's been trying to get rid of me for a little while. They told me I was from New York growing up, and now I'm from Florida. But
See,
it is what it is.
what's happening, man?
This is.
No, that's good. But let's. I
Hey,
know we said we'd get back to the safety and the t-shirt design that you said,
yes,
um,
sir.
where it's an AR platform on the shirt, but it's
Hmm.
I forget how to say, but it's basically outlined in
It's
roses, or
yeah,
the
it's
silhouette.
that the
It's the
silhouette
silhouette of
is the
roses.
roses, and it just yeah the silhouette. So again, it was originally designed. The first idea, because I'm a writer as well. So what happened is I just needed this to resonate, right? So the first one is just the rose. It's just the AR and the roses. And I go through the whole explanation of being safe with it and how it's easy for someone to get interested in it. Really thinking about children, because at the time my daughter is 4 when I made this. And you see all the bad things with children getting a hold of the parents' firearm
Yeah.
because they're curious. Their curiosity is what leads to these
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate events. On top of that, we are at the climax of the Breonna Taylor situation, right? And I'm seeing, so this is how this becomes the second shirt, where I'm seeing a lot of, I'm going to say my women, right? When I say my women, I'm talking about the Black woman. We're seeing a lot of them talk about how Black men don't protect them and so on and so forth. Um, and I'm not really, while you may see me on social media, I'm be honest, that's fake. It's to be seen so I can get you to go
Mm.
to Choice Family Firearms. I don't care if you never like a post on my page, right? Everything I do there is specifically to get your attention and say, hey, what's he got going on? But when I do get into these things, you'll notice there's really something behind that deeper. Um, so the Breonna Taylor thing happens, and I'm seeing a lot of my women saying, black men don't do this, black men don't that, black women aren't this, or they're not protected. So that leads to me making that same shirt and then putting, dear black women, you are safe with me. I'm lying, protected
Mm.
by the black man around that. And women ate that up. And then, so I was, you can literally hear it while I say this. I was in a space where I'm like, I don't like the fact that I'm selling this, but I like the fact that I'm
Yeah.
getting this message out there and women are supporting it because the women that are, they really feel that,
Yeah. Wow.
right? And I wrote a poem to go with it and everything. And I was sending that with that shirt,
Wow.
you know?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So when you go through all that, because this is an
Yeah.
emotional thing for me, you got to think grandma, mom,
Yeah.
grandmothers, mom, little girl, sister,
Yeah.
right? And then I have a lot of women in my life that are very important to me. They just those are my sisters, you know. Before 2A comes a big thing, whereas I have these relationships with
Yeah.
Nina De Flores. I tell people that's my little sister.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have great relationships with
Yeah.
women just naturally, strictly platonic, and it's just what it is. So these people will tell you great things about it. The one woman that can tell you something bad about me will still tell you, yeah, he might not agree with the 9 things about this, but when it comes to this, don't play
Yeah.
with me, right? And so that was a big thing for me. You know, I didn't want to capitalize off it and make money off of it. That's the internal conflict I had with that. But I wanted that message out there. I wanted people to see it. So there are people that got that shirt for free, but it it is what it is
Mm.
at that point. Um, so the way that my brain works is I'm I'm an artistic person. So then I have the concepts to go through it. I have the official second shirt where now I wanted men to have something equivalent. So what I did is I took my actual AR and I'm looking at the different meanings of different
Mm.
flowers and such. Because again, my approach was not to be aggressive. I didn't want it to be in your face like that, where it's so aggressive. So what I did was I looked up heather. I went through everything and I stumbled across heather
Mm.
lavender, right? Which, and just make it even brief, is somewhat a representation of protection. So I have that wrapped around the rifle like an olive branch would be, so to speak, right? And then so you have that, and then the message around that, dear black woman, you're safe with me, sincerely the black
Wow.
man. So then now you exactly. So you had those things, those 2 things out at the same time. So I have married couples that have those. It's you got one and the other. So, and it's just all
Wow.
about the messaging. It never. I just wanted that to show that unity because during all this time, you're seeing all these things where you're having black women say black men don't protect them, and then black men are responding to that negatively. I just wanted to bring people
Yeah.
together at
Wow.
that point, or at least feel like I added some positivity in the space where there was negativity with now my
I
men.
mean, the least you can do is try.
Yeah.
And man, it's tough because I can hear not just the pain of conflict in your voice, but I can hear so much love in your voice, like so much just bubbling over,
Yeah.
just the love of your grandmothers and your aunts and your mom and your sister and your
Yeah.
daughter and just
Yeah.
the women in your life that you have strong, good platonic relationships with, and it's like you want to be there for them and you want it to show, and you're not really interested in making money off of it,
Absolutely.
except that you do need to make some money, like that's a thing.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
conflict of life. It's the conflict of life. We own this rock and we got it. Hey, yeah, you can't. You could live here for free, but you're
right,
not gonna live
right.
comfortably. You're not
Especially
gonna live
you have
comfortably, man.
you got a
You know,
daughter,
you go to
you
inner.
gotta try,
Look, look, man. She wants things.
shoot that
She wants
kitchen set,
things. You
the
know
kitchen set.
that. She's my daughter, man. She want the kitchen set. She want the motorcycle. She want the Nerf Glock. She want the tutu and the butterfly
It
wings.
sounds good to me. I just
So there's no telling what she gonna grow up to be.
I don't want to buy it, but it sounds good to me.
Um,
Whatever you want, you got it.
she got it.
Yeah,
She got it. She got it. That's
there you
my
go.
baby.
I love it.
And yeah, so we did that, and I like the shirt thing. Like I wasn't truly committed to the shirt thing, but if you go to the website, there's so many ideas. I have things I haven't
Mm.
even put out. Like I made the shirt I have on
Oh, that's a new
now.
shirt.
Uh, it, it's not new. I made it this past summer, and I didn't put it on the website
Okay.
until about 2 weeks ago. I sent it to
Mm-hmm.
Pretty Shooters, Denise Reed she's out in Maryland. I had met her in November. I was with a few people actually, a few of the instructors, Kofi from Hand in Arms, Tiana from T's Tactics. I met them at ISI in October, hosted by Tig. Right, they're from my
Yeah.
area, my home area. So I say, yo, I come home frequently. When I come home, I want to shoot with you guys, blah blah blah. Kick it. We did that. We had lunch. We shot. We had a good time. I sent this to Denise. This is a picture of a goat with my signature sunglasses, with a bandana, and my AR, right?
That's
And
cool.
I put that, yeah, man. Like this is what everything's artistic now. Really, the funny thing is, it started as a joke. A buddy of mine was clowning a picture I had taken. I was like, you know me too well. You know me too well. I'm gonna use this. So I put it on the shirt, and but everything. There's not a shirt on my website that you can't see what the message is behind it. And if you don't know what the message is, you can ask, because there's nothing there that isn't. There's
Right.
a deeper
It's
meaning
not
to other
just
than,
a
hey,
thing.
buy this shirt.
Oh, people think this
It's
looks
not
cool,
just,
so just
yeah,
sell
it's
it.
not just a
It'll
thing.
sell. Yeah.
Yeah, with the exception, I there's one, like I had the what was it, the Twisted
Okay.
Tea. I
Yeah.
had
Well,
that up there for a
that's for
little bit,
fun.
but that
That's
was
fun.
that
Yeah.
was the moment. A
Yeah.
Hood Neck had one. Hood Neck had one. I did it first, but
No,
that's my
I
man
love
too.
Chris.
That's
Chris
my
is good people. Good people.
I love Chris. Yeah, yeah, when I was over there, I wanted to pull up on him. I just didn't have the time. But it's so many messages. Like the one of my favorites, and the you need money to go to war and dead presidents represent me, or money makes us happy, where it's the silhouette of either an AK, AR, Glock, or 1911 with those phrases around it. I thought the you need money to go to war thing came from Tupac. I thought it did. I didn't find it anywhere on the internet that someone said that. At least not the, so as of right now, it's an original quote, but the idea was, you know, in order to literally the literal sense of what they said, you need money to go to war.
Yeah.
If you look across history, the countries that won wars had the most money, the most resources, typically. Um, Firearms are expensive, so on and so forth. Money makes us happy.
Yeah.
Self-explanatory, right? You're a gun enthusiast. This makes you happy. Dead presidents represent me, of course, as an ode to Jay-Z. And then the idea that when we start to get real political, when we mix 2A into it, because you can't have politics without
Yeah.
that, right? So that I feel like that's self-explanatory. But your forefathers or the country's forefathers, they made that the Second Amendment for a reason, because they just dealt with the BS from
Yeah.
Britain and such, right? And how did they get over that? Being able to defend themselves with firearms. So the ideas that I have with these things, like I don't sleep. So they come rather easy, but I don't want them to take priority
Yeah.
over the classes. That's cool, but the classes
Yeah.
are
You
more
got to give
important.
people those practical skills,
Again, giving
just to
back.
be able to protect themselves and their children. And
Absolutely.
speaking of the children and
Yeah.
speaking of themselves,
And
we did want to touch on, safety and what that kind of looks like in your life and maybe some thoughts that you had on that.
well, my 5-year-old Melanie X, don't is the X is not silent, right? That's my RSO. Um, there's several videos of us online, and she's either going over the safety rules or going and saying, like, we're watching TV and someone did something unsafe with a firearm. She's like, Daddy. And then there's the most recent ones where she pointed her Nerf gun at me, and I was like, I'm dead. Stop talking to me. I'm dead, right? Because I take safety so seriously in that department, right? Don't get me wrong. I've made my mistakes. Most of us have. If you're serious about this life, you've made a mistake. You violated one of those safety laws, and I hope that it didn't result in any
Right.
serious consequences, right? So my thought process was, and my understanding deep into my psychology, the idea of how curious we were as children. Sometimes we got into things because our parents, our guardian, made that thing seem so maybe glamorous, the vanity in it,
Yeah.
right? My daughter sees me strap a gun to my body every day before I go to work. She's old enough to
Mm-hmm.
ask questions. So what happens is I start to ingrain, hey, this is not a toy, this is serious. So even though uh, we did the flip the switch challenge a couple years ago, and my wall, we put her Nerf guns up there. She has an assortment of Nerf guns, pistols, rifles, shotguns, whatever, right? And then we flip the switch, and then it switches over to the real thing. She understands that these things are not toys. Will I leave a gun out for her easily to access and trust that she'll be able? No. I'm hoping that the things that I've ingratiated in her will translate in the unfortunate circumstance. She's at a friend's house, and you know how these
Yeah.
stories go, right? She's got the knowledge. She has the knowledge to know to get out of there and form an adult. If the gun somehow makes it into her hand, hey, it's a handgun. She knows how to clear it. You know, I've had the unfortunate pleasure of telling grown men, hey, you can't rack that slide. My 5-year-old can. But yeah, it's serious, man. It's serious. I need, you
That's
know, they said
yeah.
everybody,
You got
it's
there's
important.
important skills, and
It's
it's
important.
actually funny you mentioned that because we had a recent conversation, um, as a part of last season two, with he goes by the EDC guy, and he wrote a book
Mhm.
called Erica's Big Day. Yeah,
Eric,
yeah.
I
So
know him too.
Erica's Big Day,
Yep.
and it's actually really cool because it's teaching small children. I would say between like 2 and 6 years old what to do in the case of you run across a firearm. And some of the feedback that I got
Hmm.
from when I was talking about that episode with people is like, well, you see all these situations where these kids get hurt or these kids hurt others. It's on the adult. It's 100% on the adult. Adults need to put the guns up. They need to do this and this and that. I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm so glad that you know that. But there's two other situations that we're dealing with. Number one is those parents who are completely uneducated or are too prideful to understand that just because you told your kid not to touch that gun and you really feel like you could have that gun sitting on the kitchen counter all day and they won't touch it, they might just touch it. They're kids. Kids do stuff.
Hmm.
second
Absolutely.
camp is when your kid leaves your home, which either has no gun or has ultimate gun safety, and it's in a lockbox or on your person, XYZ, the safest situation possible. Who's to say that they won't open the door and there's a gun on your doorstep? I know it's a little bit of hyperbole. Who's to say that when they go to school, the kid doesn't open his or her book bag and say, "Hey, look what I found."
Hmm.
Anything is possible.
That's realistic.
If your kid
That,
doesn't understand, the first time I
it's
saw a
realistic.
gun was at school. So don't try to tell me that that can't be your kid too. Don't play with me, boy. Like, come
Hey,
on.
yeah, I mean, I get it, and that's my thought process. And I run a lot of when I do the classes and we talk about that. I run the parallel with
Mm.
alcohol mostly because most adults over 21 drink, right? I personally don't indulge.
Many, many, many
But
do. It's a
I
big
ask people
market.
when was the many do, but when was your first drink is a question I ask. People say across the spectrum, but a lot of them were
Young.
young. Now, did an adult drink or did you sneak it? And why did you do it? Because you thought it was cool. That same curiosity runs through your mindset when it comes to firearms. I always say, and I'm documented saying this, I trust my 5 year old more with a firearm than I do my 16-year-old self. At 16, I'm impulsive. I didn't have, clearly, I didn't have the mind that I have
Mm.
now, right? So I don't trust 16-year-old me with a firearm, but I trust 5 year old my
Yeah.
child with it, right? And that's not to say that in the example you said, I'm not leaving a loaded weapon. I'm not leaving let me clarify, right? I'm not leaving a weapon out for my 5 year old to get a hold
Mm.
of, period. I'm not doing it. She's good. Like at this point, if she got to it at this point, she didn't have to
Yeah.
do a lot. She had to work for it. She worked for it. We're not gonna, because you got to. In the worst case, you got to go to court for it, right? And when my lawyer comes out and said, well, she had to do this, this, and this, and we got it on camera, it looked like something out of Indiana
Hey,
Jones and so on and so forth. I
hey,
like my odds.
yeah.
I like my
You
odds.
you did your
So
part. Make sure you do your part.
yeah, absolutely. And that's all we ask. Make sure you do your part. Like that's really big to me. Again, like I said, I've made
Yeah.
my mistakes. I hate to keep name dropping her. I love that Tig shows those pictures when she first
Mm-hmm.
first became a firearms instructor. And she's showing she had a finger on the trigger in photo. She's pointing the guns out at the camera, this, that, and the third. I like that because one of the pictures I posted in the same vein is me and a handful of my buddies. We're replicating the knights at the
Mm.
table with their swords drawn, but we got our firearms all empty, all unloaded. The only one that had a safety was on safety, right? And they're pointed down, but it's still not. I
Yeah.
wouldn't do that
Just
today, right?
not what you want to do. Maybe.
It's not the
Yeah.
image that I want to portray. It's still on my Instagram, and I like the discourse that I got from that. And certain, like, I only had one person really say anything that was worth
Sure.
responding to. Everyone else was like hyping it up, so
And
people were
that
praising
is
it,
the
right?
funny thing is sometimes you'll do something that's slightly inappropriate or actually very bad to do,
Hmm.
and people who either don't know better or just want to seem
Hmm.
supportive will hype you instead of being a friend and being like, hey
Exactly.
yo, like
We see a lot of it.
privately send you a DM, hey yo, like
We see a lot of it.
fix that.
Yeah, we need to. I've definitely sent those DMs, but at that image, it was, it's. I kept that up for that exact reason,
Like a transparency.
just to. I go back to that. I go back.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent. Like there's no. If and I say this about everything, right? If I have to be embarrassed about it or ashamed of it, I shouldn't be doing it. So there's certain situations that come up in life where it's like there's some things that you can ask me and I'll answer it. And then I don't expect the average person to have been in those same circumstances to
Mm-hmm.
answer it the same way. Like I said something to you on the phone the other day, and when I said it, I heard your jaw drop. I was like, yeah, like it's a joke, but it's
Mm-hmm.
because of this, this, and this. You know, um, what they gonna do, right? Especially in this day and age. But that's how I think about it. Like I'm very transparent. The videos I made a few days ago, I asked for feedback on something. I knew I was doing something wrong. And I ran it as a trial, like, all right, cool. I'm not faking and exaggerating these flaws. These are
Yeah.
legitimate flaws, right? And then I'm showing when they got better, when I was doing the draw from the holster, the first video. So I did it again, and I did the voiceover, and I said, no, I encourage feedback in the comments. It's okay. Now, why did I do that? I genuinely want the feedback so I can work on these things, right? I want to get different perspectives, opposed to DMing every instructor I know. What happens when we get this engagement? I'm going to connect with other people, hopefully people that know what they're talking about, vetted people that have done this
Yeah.
longer than I have, and actually make those improvements where I was lacking. And thankfully, I didn't have not one interaction that I saw like any negativity. No one said anything disrespectful, disparaging, or discouraging. And I really like that because it does bother me when I see it elsewhere, like in other people's comments. I'll see things and I'm like, dude, or occasionally someone to reach out to me and be like, did you see what such and such did? And I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
really
It's negative
interested
energy.
in that. I'm not even gonna, that's not me. Like, I may have messaged that, I may have said something to that individual in private, and I'm still not even going to tell you I said it, with the exception of the one. We all know who that one is. I ain't gonna say his name, but I don't even speak on that one publicly. I blocked that individual. I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. No, but you know what it is. But I'm a safety king. You know, I might not be the safest, but I
Yeah.
try. I absolutely try. You know, even before when we were
Yeah.
in pre-production, right? I
Mm-hmm.
show you the light. It's up. It's, you know. Now, granted, even that's not the safest direction, but
It's not.
don't nobody live above me. But what goes what
It
goes
has
up,
to come
it
down.
has to
And
come
on
down.
that note, obviously, we just hit January we're filming as what is it, January 6th today?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so New Year's was not that long ago. And every year around this time, the firearms community puts out a dozen and a half posts. Hey guys, what goes up must come down. Please, we know that it's a tradition
Hmm.
to just bust a few shots into the air, but let us not do
So,
that this year. Let's find another way. Fireworks are cheap. It's cheaper than ammo at this point. Like, just go get some fireworks and have a good time. Be safe with that, please.
yeah, man.
And
Yeah. I,
unfortunately, that is still not being listened to. Can we talk about that just a little bit?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you let me know if I'm off in this thinking. I think the people that are usually participating in shooting the gun in the air at that point aren't truly
No,
into this. I don't want to call it game,
they don't
this
understand.
lifestyle.
No,
I don't think, we saw the video with the guy randomly, he just, I don't know what he was doing. He was just shooting, bang.
it
He
looks
was
like he was
bopping with it.
dancing.
I don't know what he called
He was
himself doing.
dancing with a gun and shooting on
Yeah,
beat
he's been a
into
fool.
the open air.
I honestly
I don't
didn't
know.
watch the
It's
video to
hard to
completion.
watch. It's hard to
Usually when I see
watch.
stuff
It's
like
like,
that,
don't feed it.
yeah, his actions tell me that he's not of this lifestyle where he's going to tune in and listen to your podcast or be following any of the people that you would
Yeah,
hold a
yeah, you're
conversation
right.
with on the platform. So it, me personally, I grew tired of seeing that meme. I got tired of seeing all the discourse about it because I'm like, dude, the people that follow you weren't going to do
Yeah,
that 9 times out of 10. Like, if you got somebody that's following you doing that, I just don't see it because we pretty much all follow the same people. We're, believe it or not, even if we've never had a conversation, we're really a
yeah,
big
and it's
family at
it's
this point.
interesting. It's
How many
it's
times?
hardly ever do I find somebody that kind of does what we do and is involved in Second Amendment stuff or firearms or training
Mhm.
or even just an enthusiast. Oh, I like guns or stuff. It's hardly ever do I see somebody who's interesting to me that isn't following at least 1 or 10 or 20 or 50 of the same people.
Dude, when I look, if I see like you got firearms in your picture and you're not following anyone, I assume you're the ATF or you're a spam page
Mm-hmm.
because you know what happens. I get followed by the pages that are selling firearms, and then they have their marijuana in the pictures. I'm like, oh yeah, you're definitely this is the fake page.
Yep.
Like I'm like, you're not. That's I don't
Hmm.
know what your intention is, but
Well, I think
get
what's
away from me.
happening
There's
is
plenty of those in my
they're
block list.
following you so that when they send a DM to somebody else, they look more legit. So
Yeah,
it's
it makes
dumb.
sense,
Yeah,
but I'm
please
just
do.
gonna block
Just
you.
block.
I don't. The internet didn't raise me, so the follow count
Mm.
doesn't phase me.
Put that on a T-shirt.
I just came up with that. Yeah, yeah, it's going on the other website, the next one. See, but it. I told I told I told someone that damn I can't remember his
Yeah,
first name, Barber,
Trey.
when I met him in person. He told me to Trey Barber. I actually had that on the tip of my tongue. He said he wasn't gonna follow me. Not because he didn't have like a valid, not valid. He didn't have a reason like I don't want to follow you because you do X, Y, and Z. It was like, and he was explaining. I said, dude, that's cool. Oh, it's all right. We shook hands. We talked more about what we were talking about, and that was that. Right? I love Trey. Trey responds to my DMs. I care more about that than him following and liking my picture because Trey has good information. He has
Yeah,
outstanding
that's
information, and he he can do this.
that's the funny thing about social
So
media
I
is,
whatever.
there's almost like having done this for a little while now. It's like okay, I'm gonna follow this person. Did they follow me back? No, they didn't follow me back. Is that like a slight? Did they even see it? I know. Okay, so it doesn't actually matter. Like think about it. It doesn't matter. Can you guys communicate?
In a small a little bit on
I mean,
on the
yes. I mean,
algorithms.
you want 100,000 followers. You want 1 million followers. That's great. That's important if you want to get the message out there, and if your message is actually important. I
Yeah.
mean, if we're just playing Fortnite or whatever the game is, that's
Hmm.
cool and it's entertaining and entertainment's good. So cool, but like at the end of the
Right.
day, this is also pretty important, and people have a lot of misconceptions about it.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not playing the follow to unfollow game with people. Like I said, when he said that to him, he shook my hand after I said, no, like that's cool. Like I like learning from you. I would like to learn from you in the future, but you live
Hmm.
in North Carolina. I'm only in North Carolina once in a blue moon. Like even though, like I said, the last 2 years, I feel like I've been on tour because every month it seems like I'm on a flight. Like
Yeah,
seriously. So it's since COVID. Unfortunately, since COVID started, I've been on a flight. It seems like every
hey,
month.
I mean that's what I've been seeing.
So yeah.
Yeah,
That's what everyone said. That's why I keep doing the TSA videos with the hey, this is how you fly with a firearm, guys. This is how you. And granted, there's things left out and my
hmm
preferences in it. Um, it's factual. I'm proving it because in one of the videos the
hmm
last video I posted, one of the TSA workers said, "Hey, that's Malcolm. Why does this young lady know my name?
that's funny.
Why she know my name? You know why
That's
she know
funny.
my name?" And then and in the next clip at the gate when I'm checking in, the young lady doesn't know the process to
I've
do
seen
it
that.
to do
Yeah,
to help me get on the plane.
that was my last flight. You
And
had to
I
walk them
said
through
to
it.
her, yeah, and I told her where to get the cleanser. I'm like, no, I'm here all the time. It's in the middle drawer to the left. You know what I mean? And she's like, do you work here? I was like, nah, I'm just here all the time. And it's a lot of. I say all that to say, there's a lot of information out there. You get it from
Hmm.
me or whoever. As long as you're willing to accept that information and really use
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and use it for good too, because there's some information out there that's it's steering you in the wrong direction because you're playing that game with those people, and you don't have a conversation with the feds. I don't want to talk to the feds.
yeah,
You know, just do what you got to do, right? And in the event that you find yourself in those conversations, you know what you did, accept your
yeah.
consequences, move on. But
You know,
go
I was
figure.
just thinking about something you said earlier, Ben. That when you first got your firearm, or when you started taking this thing seriously, you kind of calmed down
Hmm.
almost, where you started thinking more clearly. Like, oh shoot, let me stay out of these situations, or let me um, be more responsible. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like personally, I'm a tiptoe around the subject. I was in a different situation where I kind of felt like I didn't have control, and I actually went and just did a bunch of things to get my freedom, reclaim my life in a sense, right? Um, and I got the firearm. Now, prior to that, some people would describe me as a hothead. I was never the funny person with cracking jokes and so on and so forth. You said something I didn't like, it
Hmm.
would get physical, right? I didn't win all of those, so I wasn't afraid of conflict. Taking the 2A life serious, I'm less interested in the actual. Yeah, it's fine. I'm a punk, but whatever. It's whatever. You don't like my shoes, my hair, my this, my that, whatever. 10 years ago, that
Yeah.
wasn't the case. You know, I switched schools a lot. I fought a lot. That happens, right? Um, I now have this approach in life where, and as I said to you on that conversation, there's situations where I looked at it and I'm like, hey, if I say this, I can avoid having to do this that could lead to that. In the words of my brother Josh Douglas, you win every gunfight you're not in, and there's a gun in play at every confrontation you have. Because we're of the belief that you
Yeah.
always have a gun on you, right? I told you the story. I was on the elevator leaving a hotel. This group of kids were under the influence. They're smoking, they're drinking, they're loud, they're rowdy. My instinct at this point is this could be an issue. And as I expressed to you, they were actually a polite crowd. Like, they was like, hey, just take the elevator by yourself. We're loud. That they said this to me. I was like, oh, cool, that's dope. And that in my chest, it kind of went down because I'm like, I brought my 1911. I got 8 shots. I got 9 shots. I really thought that. You know what I mean? It's 12 of them. I got
If
nine
something crazy
shots.
were to go down,
You
when
know,
you mix alcohol late at night, X, Y,
and,
Z,
and
things get wild. You got to be aware.
mm-hmm, absolutely, because I'm leaving the hotel. It's
Right.
like 1 in the morning, 1:30, 2 in the morning, right? I go downstairs to get off the elevator. And let me go back a step. The way I'm on the elevator is so anyone that's coming on can't really see me. I have my body positioned so I can see just because I certain life experiences and always trying to be aware of my surroundings and just have the upper hand at any cost, right? And when I come out, there's a gentleman who cuts the corner, so we bump into each other. I say, "Pardon me," and he says something of the lines of, "You better," and da da da. Like he was willing
Wow.
to have the confrontation, and I just like, brother, and I was after just having that experience upstairs, come downstairs and just like, bro, not that he ruined my night, but the experience of it was like,
Changes the energy.
and I just, I had a class to follow. Yeah, exactly. I had a class the next morning. I tell that story. And just from, again, I feel reflecting on all those confrontations I had growing up, I want to know what I did to cause them. Because a lot of them, the story that I would tell in the principal's office, I don't know what I did to this person to make them feel like we should, because not all those situations came from you said something I didn't like and I was the aggressor. Some things really to this day was they felt like I looked at them funny. And that was enough to start whatever verbal confrontation to lead to a physical situation. So in 2022,
Oh my
right, that's where
gosh.
we are now. If we're somewhere, I see you. Um, I don't know what it is about the male ego, but I can kind of sense that I'm not a little guy. I if you're with a woman and she looks in my direction, doesn't even have to be checking me out. She just looked in my direction because I've had that interaction. Now this guy is giving me this negative energy. I said this to you. I said this to Scout. I'm gonna compliment his outfit, his shoes, his whatever, and take his guard down. Regardless if I feel like, hey, if we were to throw blows, I could definitely beat this guy up. He doesn't look like he's in the best shape. You know, after like street fights don't last that long. But there's that other thing. There's always a gun in play. You'll never you'll never see me without mine. I have to assume you have yours, and I don't want to use it. And I don't want to use it.
Hmm.
I want to be having
Yeah.
fun when I'm using mine, right? I don't want to have to defend my life or anyone's life like that. Not saying that I wouldn't if I
If
have
you could
to,
avoid it.
but the
Yeah.
operative word, have to. Again, if you could avoid it, and if I have to, have, that's the most important thing there. So conflict avoidance is something that I really harp on in classes, and in my life, I practice it. Because when I'm out, like I'm not necessarily in the most friendliest environments when I'm in Baltimore or even in Florida sometimes, I'm in the trenches, right? So it's really easy to be in a conflict, stepping on someone's shoes by accident, and you excuse yourself, but the excuse
Hmm.
to me doesn't work. Um, I play basketball in the parks, right? The best ball players is going to certain places, and when you're definitely going to get the chest bumping and so on and so forth. I'm in Florida. Everybody got something in their trunk. I don't need to be in those confrontations. Story I told my mom a few days ago. Hey, I remember this guy I knew for a fact that if we went to blows, I would win. His endurance to run up and down the court didn't match mine. I'm faster and I know I was stronger than him. So in my mind, I'm like, I pull him to the side and I say, dude, I understand you're upset with me. I forget what it was. I think I fouled him or something like that. Whatever. I said, dude, look, I'm a punk. I don't want to fight. I can't fight or something like that. Like he laughed at me, chuckled, but I could see he deflated. Like he no longer felt like, damn, I got to fight this dude. He about a half a foot taller than me or whatever,
That's what you get from being tall.
this is, well, yeah, that happens. But at this time, I got my shirt off. You can see that like I'm
Right.
skinny, but it's going somewhere. You know what I mean? And he didn't. It just didn't make sense. I'm like, dude, I've seen this person before. Not necessarily him, but you're talking loud. That lets me know you really don't want the confrontation, but that also hints to the idea that if it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go, you may make a mistake that will alter both our lives
Right.
for forever. And I just don't. I have no desire to go to Vegas because I don't want to gamble. So I'm definitely not going to gamble with my life with these fools. My objective every day is to, when I leave the house, make sure I come back the same way I left. And if I don't come back in the way that I left, I want to be
Hmm.
better than when I left. That's all I want to do. So, as you know, and we see it all, too often. People in these viral videos, they're arguing. What was the argument about?
Do we ever really know? I mean,
Nothing.
was it worth
Nothing.
it? Was it worth someone getting hurt,
Is it
dying,
ever?
and paralyzed, whatever?
Exactly. Very rarely do we see any situation where it's worth it. No matter what, I don't care what you believe in, who you are, what you look like. It's
Hmm.
never worth it. It's never a situation where we're going to be like, oh, it was a really good idea for you to go to your car, get your gun, and come back and
Hmm.
hurt those people because they said something you didn't like. We're
Right.
never going to do that. I don't care what side of the fence you stand on.
Man. No, you're so right, and
That shit.
it's one of those things where sometimes people misinterpret the gun owners or the Second Amendment community as like a bunch of hotheads or Wild West pimp style type stuff, and it's like, well, you know, maybe that's the perception, but honestly, a good chunk of us, we're trying to stay out of gunfights because that's the last thing we want. We know what happens next. Trying to stay out of these gunfights.
I hate to say this. I hate to say this when I see somebody and they're like super cool in hostile situation. I'm like, either he's crazy, he can fight, he can shoot, or all three. Almost lost count. That's that Florida thing again, man. And I just be like, yo, you can
Mm-hmm.
tell. You can kind of tell. Again, when it's a lot of dogs that bark, but they don't bite, and and when they do bite, it's because they felt like they had to. They're gonna feel like something it's something missing in them that makes them feel like they have to. A lot of men have died over
Mm-hmm.
ego and pride. It's never, it's rarely a situation. It's like, hey, this bad thing happened, or I was doing this thing and trying to protect people and I lost my life for it. Those things are very rarely spread or I'll speak from my view. When I see these things, the gentleman that drowned saving the people swimming back and forth 12, 13 times, the guy that died in the fire getting the family out, those type of things. Yeah, they go viral and so on and so forth. And just speaking to what I see, but I see the video of the foolishness
Yeah.
more times than not. That's why, like, when people ask me, you asked me before we got on here, did I see certain memes? I'm like, bro, I'm gonna be honest. I really don't see anything. Like, I see myself and the people I'm really looking for. I'm looking to support.
Yeah.
I'm looking to help them get to wherever they're trying to go. Outside of that, I can miss things. It's easy for me to not know what's going on in current events as far as social media is concerned. I told you I've been in the dark since 6 o'clock this morning. It getting my soul aligned, just being at peace with the
And
simple
isn't that a good
things.
thing? Because somebody might
You
look at that
know?
and be like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy. What are you avoiding social media? Are you one of those people that doesn't like TV? Like you almost seem like a vegan or something. No offense to my vegans, y'all doing the right thing. I think. Um,
I'm borderline. Look, I'm borderline
well,
everything you
yeah,
just said, right? Not it's just I mean, look at the kids today. Kids, you go outside, do you
no,
see kids
they're
riding bikes?
miserable.
I rode bikes. I people make fun, not make fun, but they make jokes. They see me, I'm out skating. I'm 6'5" on
Yeah,
skates. I enjoy skating. I swim, I skate. I'm a I was outside. Like everyone talks about being outside. I really was outside. I really was outside. You name it, I tried it. I did it. I had a skateboard when they said I shouldn't be skateboarding because I'm black. I'm like, nah. And I'm super hip
yeah.
hop, clearly. Like you can't really one thing and I hate to talk about myself, I really do. But one thing I like about myself or love about myself is the fact that you can't really pigeonhole me because I can literally go sit with what I feel like anyone and I can have conversation with you. I might not be able to contribute as
Mm,
much as others, but I definitely feel like I don't totally feel like I don't belong in these spaces, no matter what we're talking about. So I got to thank my parents on that one.
I like it. I like it. Malcolm,
Hmm.
thank you so much for coming on, man. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
for sharing. Thank you for dropping some knowledge, some wisdom, some hope, some positive energy.
Some hope.
I felt like you really did bring some positive energy, and I really hope that other people, whoever's listening or watching, can absorb some of that and maybe consider the stuff that you're talking about. One thing you said that I thought was really interesting is many men have died from ego and pride. If you don't put that on a T-shirt, I will. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Dude, I hit it's already on the shirt. I just ain't put it. Look, man, I got them. They loaded. So before this video comes out, it'll be there. It actually will be out. So when you start posting the snippets,
So
it's going out.
this is the point where I'm
Right?
gonna ask you, hey Malcolm, where can people find you?
Absolutely. All right. So of course, Instagram, you can find me, Choice Family Firearms. If you want to see the 2A stuff, that's where you want to find it. You want to find me personally, where I'm just being crazy, possibly just posting music you're not familiar with or whatever. It's Malcolm MALCOLM underscore X underscore choice CHOICE. That is my real name.
Malcolm X.
So it's no facade. That's really my name. That's what it is. Sincere, depending on who you ask. Sin for short, depending on what stories they want to tell. But I'm true to who I am and who I claim to be, and
There
that's
you
just
go.
what it
I
is.
like it. And you guys do have a website.
ChoiceFamilyFirearms.com. You can book classes as well as buy some of the merch as we talked about. We have shirts, hoodies, sweats, coffee mugs, uh, wall canvases, keychains, the patches. Some of your favorite 2A influencers have everything I just mentioned because we've been out here for a while and we've earned it. We've earned it. We work for it, and we show love.
Yeah,
We give
and
love
it's all
back.
good stuff, and I appreciate all the positivity, especially now hearing exactly the meanings behind certain things. Not that it wasn't clear that there was a meaning behind it, but just kind of hearing it from the horse's mouth, pardon the expression, that there's something
Absolutely.
more to it. So, bro, thank you so
I,
much for coming on, and for all you people wherever you are, watching on YouTube or Spotify, whatever. Can you give it a positive rating if there's a rating system, if there's a like button, if there's a comment section, wherever. Find me on Twitter. Find me, just go ahead and let me know that you enjoyed it. That helps me to get a little bit of motivation to carry on. And of course, if you really want to contribute, there are ways like Patreon, XYZ. It doesn't matter. We just love that you're here, and thank you so much for listening. Everybody, keep it costly.